tilled the lands of opportunity with determination. We sowed the seeds of hope. We drenched the soil with sweat, blood, and tears, and I tell you, at nothing we shall stop. For now, all we need is the sun, and we know the sun will shine. Hello everyone, this is Anshu Jain from Qatar Day, and you are watching The Candid Talk. We have often learned that a small step by a man in the right direction at the right time can be the beginning of a giant leap for mankind. And today, we have somebody with us who has taken many such leaps. Titled The Global Visionary Building Smarter Future and honored with Indibud Pravasi Ratan Award. The Forbes man behind the vision is a great leader with over 23 years of professional experience. He has to his credit over 24 businesses running smooth and safe. Please help me welcome the very creative, very patient, extremely focused and incredibly passionate serial entrepreneur building sustainable business, Dr. Tejinder Singh. Welcome to the show, Dr. Singh. Thank you so much that you have agreed to share your valuable time and experience with us.
Pleasure is all mine.
Dr. Singh, ideas million, but the decision is just one. The choice is just one. How did you zero in? How did you figure out that yes, this is the right track for me?
Well, it always happens when you are looking at any opportunity, you're looking at any business idea. It is a combination of your experience, it's a combination of your gut feeling, it's a combination of your circumstances that you are in which place, which country, which city of the world you are in, how will it fit in. So it is a combination of everything. You call it experience, you call it a wisdom, you call it a gut feeling, you call it a timing. There have, many words people have used around, but ultimately it is an entrepreneur personal gut experience plus the experience that he belongs to or he possesses is what makes a startup come out or an opportunity come out. So, you can't isolate a particular, you can't define a particular formula. This is unlike physics or chemistry. This is the reason why management has always been an art. A business has always been an art than a science, because you can't lay out in a particular formula. And so every time it's different. You're doing a fintech startup, it's different. You're doing a retail business, it's different. You're doing a back office or a B2B business, it's different DNA. You're doing a e-commerce business, it's totally a different DNA. So it depends, what kind of business are we talking about.
Exactly. So just like an art, it is a combination of a lot of imagination.
Absolutely.
Taking in multiple modes.
Absolutely. Look at a movie director. I mean, he would direct a comedy movie totally different to what an action would be, to a drama, to a biography. Or look at a painter, he would use different colors, different canvas, different time, different pictures, different backgrounds, different concept altogether. So I think entrepreneurship also is an art. It's an art which one has to actually master it.
Very true.
Yeah.
I would want to know a settled career, settled life. Despite of that, you chose to leave all of that and start on your own. Basically, the place you belong to and the era you were in. I mean, I'm not talking about the era, but the generation you were in. That time, people, all they want in life is to be settled.
Right.
And you were fairly done.
Yes.
Despite of that, you chose to stand on your own.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure family must have been against of it. Friends must have cautioned you, and so many things must have happened.
Right.
What excited you or what ignited you to be an entrepreneur?
So first thing I'll tell you, the beauty of number one is that it is an odd. So be a number one, you have to be an odd. That's the first thing. You can't be an even number to be number one. So that's number one. Number two is that whenever you think something different in life, you play a risk. And the risk is, I'll tell you what the risk is. This is very quantifiable. The risk that you play is that you play is going against the opinion, belief, and the trust of the people around you. So the circumstances, they say something different. The experience people have had with the kind of thing that you want to do. For example, you want to do a startup in education. Now, you would look around and see, were people successful in this? You see, no, people were not successful in this. So that goes against you. Your family goes against you. Your friends goes against you. it's not going against, but you will not find a coin of trust being put on you, for a simple reason that they have not seen it that way. And of course, this is what is required. So I feel, and it's been true till date, when I share my idea to 10 different people and they say no to it, I always feel that this is the best idea. The moment the people say that it's a good idea, I feel no, it's not a good idea. Because if it's a common man idea, it cannot be a great startup. It cannot be. So this is one thing that you have to carry always. And this is the message that I keep giving to all the aspiring entrepreneurs, whether they are in the career with 15 years of experience, or they are in their career in the starting of their career. I always say entrepreneurship is an art. It's always being number one, being an odd, and second is always believing in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, I think that's enough to walk alone. That's it. So that's how you make it so different. So I think this is what I also thought, to write my own story, to write my own poem. And I was never wanted to, and till date, I mean, that's probably a part of my DNA, that even if I have established business and I've got, everything running smoothly, I still look for something that's new. I always look at for something that what I will do in the morning. What am I supposed to do? What am I doing in next 12 to 15 hours? So I think that particular thing always made me restless. And so I always engage myself in something, whether it is studying something, whether it is finding an idea, nurturing an idea, or trying to help a startup, but something has to be done new. So, in short, in English grammar, they call it as creativity. So, yeah, so you be creative. So, creativity doesn't mean it's an art. Creativity means when you try to create something, you try to create an idea, you try to create even if you enter the kitchen and try to cook something, it's creative. So writing your own story, writing your own biography, writing your own poem, writing your own roadmap, writing your own startups, writing your own businesses, writing your own path is all about creativity.
Yes, absolutely true. Creativity doesn't need any specific field.
No, absolutely not.
Whatever you have.
Absolutely not.
Like you said, we are all blessed with 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely.
It depends on us that how are we willing to invest it or spend.
Absolutely. I think this is one point of wisdom that God has given us. When you compare it with other species that we have, so you have living plants, you have living animals, and you have living human beings. And human beings were the only one who had this sense of creativity that they could create.
True.
So if you're not adding the value onto that, your whole purpose of being a human is defeated.
Very true. Yeah. So if you're being disloyal to yourself,
exactly. If you don't create anything, you're not a human being. Yes, you're not a human being. You need to create something. You need to show that you are a rightful chosen human being in the time. Yeah.
That's such a wonderful combination of the work that you're doing. I mean, bringing the technology, science, and philosophy all together. Great.
Trying my best.
I would want to know one thing, Dr. Singh, that how do you manage the stress of handling so many startups all together? Because as we are aware that you have nearly 24 companies running under the banner of 360 Nautica, and loads of things are already planned out. I would want to know more about it, but then how do you manage that thing? It is not that easy.
Well, I mean, if you plan it well, it is not that difficult also. I'll keep it very simple for the people to understand. So first step is one at a time. So, your focus is one at a time. So if you look at all of my startups, I've been focusing one at a time. So I started, let's say, with BPO Plus, and I was focused on BPO. Then I started with Q Tickets. I was focused on Q Tickets, and so on and so forth. So every time I am focused on what I'm doing. Second is training your people. So hiring is easy, but training is difficult. So you could hire people to do a particular job, but if you don't walk along with them, if you don't hold their hands, if you don't bring them up to the level, train them and bring them up to the level that they can work for you, then I think you have missed that training piece. So you need to get your people trained. That's so very important. And I think that has been the key. So what I've done in my businesses is that if I had brought up BPO Plus, I made sure that there is somebody who is succeeding it. Okay. If I brought, let's say, Q Tickets, I made sure somebody is succeeding it. If I started with Qatar Day or any social media, I made sure that somebody is succeeding it. So that's very, very important. So somebody has to be trained, brought up, trained, modulated into that role, and completely kind of set it up in terms of running the business, day-to-day business. And then I restrict myself onto the strategic part. So I am involved in strategy. I keep at a distance, I keep drawing the strategy. I make sure that, okay, fine, I know where the business has to go. I keep driving them, and then on the same side, so that would occupy my 40-50% of my bandwidth. The remaining 50% is absolutely focused on something that needs to be created. So as I answered previously to you was that being creative. So my rest of the 50% goes into the creativity. Now creativity could be anything. Creativity, I would say, reading a book also. Getting a knowledge is a creativity. Thinking of an idea is a creativity. Thinking of how my current businesses go to the next level is creativity. How a new startup can be brought up is a creativity. Solving a problem is a creativity. So I keep myself 50-60% kind of free in terms of understanding my inner self, that what I have to do next. Yeah.
Analyzing your energy in the right direction is the most important. And I guess that's where most of the startups fail. They hire people, they get the human potential, but they do not know how to utilize them.
That is a very big problem, Anshu. Training is a big problem. If you look at all across the businesses in the current world, training is something that they miss. So what happens is, and on the both ends, the people who should have got trained, they stop learning, and the people who should train don't train. So it is missing at the both ends. So what happens is that our mindset in the corporate world is that if I'm hiring an MBA, he has studied everything in the university. Now hiring an MBA means he has to deliver like an MBA. It doesn't happen that way. He's coming with a textual knowledge, right? You have to somewhere convert him into a practical knowledge. That is not yet done. So no university in the world gives you a practical knowledge. They only give you a textbook knowledge. Similarly, if he has come with an experience of 15 years, yes, he has a 15 years experience, but that experience is a past experience, all right? Somebody has to invest his time into him to make him unlearn and learn what you want to make him learn. That also we miss. So we feel that, okay, fine, 15 years of experience, he can deliver to us. No, 15 years of experience cannot make 16th year bigger. See the fundamental. 15 is always less than the 16th. So 16th year cannot be bigger from the 15th, cannot be smaller than the 15th year. So which means 16th has to be a bigger one, right? So there has to be something added.
Some input has to be there.
Correct. It is 15 plus 1. Where is that 1? That 1 nobody added. So that is where they miss it. And you asked a very important question on the stress. Now I'll tell you about the stress. What is stress? Stress is when your brain, your mindset is occupied 100%. The day you manage it to bring it below 75%, I'm telling you will not have stress. You only have stress for the unsolved things. You have stress because you don't have time. You have stress because there are so many things running on your mind. You have stress because you have not resolved things that are pending on your desk. But if you are able to do everything in 75% of the time, okay, one way of doing it, then you will not have stress. Or you take up the work which you can finish in 75% of the time.
Exactly.
Either ways.
Capacity.
Either you finish what you have in 75% or you take what you can do in 75%.
Very well said.
You will never have stress. So stress is manageable. When people say stress is not manageable, I don't trust that. I don't believe it. It's absolutely manageable.
It's about managing oneself.
Yes. It's all about organizing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. People who have stress, they are not organized. They have not organized themselves properly.
It's very true.
That's it. Nothing else.
Dr. Singh, they say, I would want to quote something and I would want to know your view on the same. The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition. What is your take on this? How do you see obstacles in your life?
Well, as I said when we started the conversation, obstacles basically is what? Obstacle is an opportunity. So when you face obstacle, I see an opportunity. When you face a problem, I see an opportunity. So the opportunity basically is to remove the obstacle. If the path is all clear, there is no obstacle. If there is no obstacle, there is no problem. If there is no problem, there is no opportunity to work. So everybody in this world has a job. He goes to, let's say, Ooredoo, he goes to Karma, he goes to Qatar Airways, he goes to my office, he goes to any other office, for example. He's there for a job, right? Now that job, he was hired because there was an obstacle. He was hired because there was a problem. He was hired because we need somebody in that chair to solve that problem. So obstacles and problems is what get people the job. Entrepreneurs see it as a pathway. Individuals see it as a job. But it's there for everybody. If there were no problems, there were no obstacles, there is no opportunity, there is no jobs. there is no business.
It's true.
So that's life. If you have an obstacle today, you have a problem, you go to the doctor and the doctor gets money. You have an obstacle in your legal life, you have a problem in your legal life, you go to the lawyer, he gets paid for it, right? You have an obstacle that you have a kid who has not learned anything, you send him to the school makes money. So the obstacle and the problem is the opportunity of the life. It is the ecosystem. That is how the world runs, right? The sun comes out in the morning and says we got a sunshine because night was an obstacle. We could not see. So we wanted the sunshine. So obstacles and problems are the part of the life. They are not the fear of the life. They are the part of the life. You have to search for them. If you search for them, you will find the sun. You search for them, you will find the money. You search for them, you will find the job. You search for them, you will find your business. It's as simple as this.
I guess what you said is so accurate. It is so apt that opportunity and obstacles, they go hand in hand.
Yes, you should look for them actually. Don't run away from them.
Exactly.
That's what will make your livelihood.
Exactly. So unless and until we are getting the opportunity to face that obstacle, we will never be able
Absolutely.
to celebrate the joy of the opportunity.
Absolutely.
That we are getting.
Absolutely.
But having said that, Dr. Singh, what is your take on the current scenario, the biggest obstacle that is there? How has that changed your life and your business in particular? Have you planned something new?
In terms of COVID?
In terms of COVID, exactly.
Okay, so I'll tell you, first of all, people have been talking about COVID a lot. And I completely understand that this pandemic has disturbed the way it was all going. It has disturbed or shaken or, challenged the system that was already established all across the world. But this is, I would say, another spike or another U-turn in the life, and you should take it in the following way. I'm telling you in the following way. So about 100 years ago, there were no cars on the road, right? We used to cross the roads, we used to walk freely without any fear of a motor car coming in and hitting us, because there were bullock carts, there were horses, there were camels, right? So we never had that fear. Subsequently, the motor cars came. Some of us got hit by the motor cars suddenly coming in with the speed. We started to learn to live with it, and we learned look left, look right, look left, walk. Look left, look right, look left, walk. This is what we learned. Then came the thieves. We started locking our houses, got smart locks, digital locks, multiple locks. We kept our gold and jewelry in the lockers. We started locking our cars, central control systems, auto lock system, and blah, 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 anti-theft protection. So all of that came is to protect us. That became part of our life, right? When you're standing in a bus, you hold the bar so that you don't fall, right? When you are in the aircraft, you put your seat belts so that you don't bump on your seat. So you are anyways taking precautions. So if you can tie your belt, you can wear a mask. If you can lock your car door, you can always put a mask. So this is just a threat of a theft or an accident. You have to walk along with it. So pandemic has disturbed what we were right now, but this will not stop the life. That's the first thing. You have to learn to live with it. You have to learn to live with it. So it is COVID-19 now. There could be some other virus coming in the future. And I probably feel out of the context I'm saying that you may not see the war of the bombs and the bullets in times to come. You may see just the war of the viruses from the countries. So the human race has to learn to live with it. We are going today towards that science fiction movies we used to see about 10 years ago.
True.
Where the humanoid was changed because of the virus and he came in a different shape and it was this thing. Maybe those kind of things will come. I mean, I'm talking very superficial out here, but you have to learn to live with it. So the business, as I said, you got another problem in the place. When you get a problem, you see an opportunity. You see an opportunity, you change your course. So see what you can do. So what will happen now is that some of the businesses where the customers were going to the business, that may not happen now so conveniently, and the business may have to walk up to the customer. So for example, you could see a reduction in the people walking into a telecom showroom to get their SIM cards. The telecom company may have to find easier ways to reach the customer and give them the SIM cards. So those kind of businesses which can see the switch will switch. The business which cannot see a switch may not switch. So for example, I still will go to the showroom to get my shirt stitched, okay, or a suit stitched, or to find a pair of shoes that fits into my feet. So there I have to still go. So if I was going in, I would do 10 activities outside my house today or in times to come, I may reduce that to 3 or 4, which is very mandatory, where the business house cannot come to my house. But in other cases, the customer would say and will show his fear to step out, and the business will find an opportunity to create system where he can reach the customer and charge a fee for it. So that's where our opportunity is. So like delivery of foods. If there were 1,000 deliveries a day, pre-COVID, post-COVID, it probably is 2,000. People are okay to pay. So that will happen.
So people will have to look for the innovative ways to adjust themselves.
That's it. That's it. That's about it.
But Dr. Singh, having said that, the startups are known to run on massive funding spree, right? And looking at the current scenario, the market conditions and all, do you think it is the right time to invest in the startups as one firm of yours, which has really become the talk of the town, as a startup crime? Certainly, I would want to know a bit more about it. And what is your take on investing on startups right now?
Okay, so we have been, Anshu, as you mentioned earlier, I have been involved. So I've been here in Qatar for about 15 years and been involved in setting up my own businesses. So we call them as business today because they have grown up. But one fine day, they were all startups, right? So any business is like a grown-up man, but once upon a time, he was just a baby, born baby. So they were all startups. The difference is virtually nothing. They were still the startups. They were still the ideas. They still had to be converted into a startup. They had to be invested. They required a leadership and a pathway to grow, which all of them have grown and come to a certain stage. Yes, all of them, all our kids, if you've got 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids in our house, all of them don't grow and become the same, absolutely same. You know, you could have a brightest child and you could have, others lesser than that, and all of them will be different. So no 2 kids will be of the same level at all. We have seen in our siblings, you must be having your brothers and sisters, not all of them are same. They have absolutely different dislikes and likes. They've got different preferences. They've got different taste, choice of things. And though you all are from the same parents, similarly are the business. The businesses are different. They all have different requirements. They adjust into the system in a totally different way. So each startup, first of all, has to be looked in a very unique and isolated way. That's number one. Number two is we had done so. In the last 15 years in Qatar and before that in India, I had done 4 startups in India who went on to become one of the biggest businesses in India. And so all of them put together, I had a considerable experience in terms of doing this. And while I was thinking in the last 2.5 years, what next? What should I do next? So I thought, instead of cultivating a new idea myself, why should not I now go to a point where I offload my legacy to the new startups. If I have to invest, I will invest in the new startups. I will give a chance to the people who are, aspiring to become entrepreneurs of tomorrow. I can mentor them, I can coach them, I can invest in them. I can bring them under my umbrella, make them sit here, okay, and work right under my supervision, my guidance, my mentorship. And then we can hope that it goes to the best point. So we floated a flagship called as 360 Nautica. Now 360 Nautica basically means, when you say 360, it talks about all across, and Nautica is the distance basically. So we see it all across to the long distance. What are the probable and the promising startups that could become the good businesses or good opportunities in the future? So that's what we always keep looking for. So what we did was, we started identifying those startups over here, and we did a couple of investments until now. So coming to your question, now this is the background that I wanted to give so that we understand in the context what the question needs as an answer at this point of time. So we are looking at the startups, which, as I said in my previous answer, was which will adapt to the changing times. So yes, this is the right time to invest in startup, undoubtedly, right? Because this is where the market has opened up. Now, I'll tell you why market has opened up. The market has opened up because pre-COVID, if there were 20 players in a vertical, probably 12 of them, 60-70% of them have already closed, or they have lost their businesses, or they are struggling. So there is enough room for a startup to come, right? A. B, because of the COVID, post-COVID now, because of the digital business, coming in, or a digital mindset coming in, there's a couple of opportunities that are very strong and will become very strong in the next 2 to 3 years. Number 3 is the whole economy across the world is going under a depression, which means this is the right time to invest because the expenses to raise a business is less.
Relatively lesser. Yeah.
So I have told you 3 very good advantages of why a startup should be invested in. Why people do not want to look at the startups is because they feel this is a recession. But when the prices go down, that's the best time to buy. When the prices goes up, that's the best time to sell. So if you ask me in my personal opinion, I would say this is the best time to invest in the startup. This is the best time to float an idea, right? And we are looking for that. We're looking for promising startups who would become good businesses in the times to come. They have got a good promising future in Qatar or in the region or elsewhere. And we are working on 2 of them right now, very closely. Yeah, we are working on 2 ideas right now. One of them is healthcare. The second one is in e-commerce. Okay, we're calling it as an reverse e-commerce actually, not an e-commerce, but reverse e-commerce, because that's not an e-commerce. So we call it as reverse e-commerce. It's an opposite of what e-commerce would do. So we are working on those 2 ideas. We are very close to completing the ideation stage, okay, our research and ideation stage, and very soon we will announce that we are going ahead with that.
This is what we say, like making use of the opportunity in the best possible way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Startup Grind is all set already to mentor and invest and provide all kind of facilities which future prospective startup is looking for.
Correct.
So with the right idea, and then they should be approaching.
Exactly. So what we have done here is that while we were setting up this 360 Nautica, we said, why should a startup come to us, and why will they come to us? So they'll come to us because of A, Tejinder experience. B, it could be because of the ecosystem that we have. 3, because we're investing into it. What else?
What else?
So we said we'll answer that what else also. So we brought Google Startup Grind program as our partners, where a startup would get exposure to the network of the Startup Grind, which is spread across 225 different chapters, 225 different chapters across about, I think now 150 plus countries, with about almost, I think, 2 million participants in that in terms of startup investors and all that. So it's a very rich network of startup ecosystem, and Google is the promoter for that. We brought Microsoft. We got Microsoft on board very recently. Microsoft would be with us and would invest in the startups in technology. Okay, so that's the second thing that we have. We're trying to bring some individual investors so that the investment spectrum increases. So we're trying to bring some small scale and mid scale investors into it. We are also looking at other partners who would come as, so we call it as a subject matter expert partners, or a subject partners like Microsoft, like Google. We're trying to bring most of them into it, so that the starters, when they sit over here, they're not just confined to what Qatar is doing. They also get exposed to what globally it is happening, So there could be a fintech startup with me who understands what Qatar landscape is all about, but he doesn't know how this fintech is working in South Africa, how this fintech is working in Jordan, how this fintech is working in Lebanon. So basically, when he starts getting in touch with the Startup Grind people in Lebanon, in Jordan, let's say, or in Oman, or in Kuwait, he understands the financial landscape in those countries. And then he says, yes, why I cannot take my startup to a global level or to a regional level? Why should I restrict it to Qatar? So all that knowledge actually becomes very precious when it comes to the startup. And similarly, Microsoft, who wants to take them across, they also want to make it big. And they also have come because they launched a startup program, so they're coming. So it's connected mindsets, basically, nothing else.
So basically, they're getting everything under one umbrella. You talk about funds, you talk about ecosystem, you talk about training, and you get the global experience.
Absolutely.
this could be one of the best
Absolutely,
platforms.
absolutely.
But I was saying, I've spoken a lot about the work that you're doing, about your business and everything. Now I would want to come to your personal interest. I know that you are an avid reader. Now when I say reader, I'm not just talking about reading books, but continuous learning program, that continuum when we talk about education. Why this fascination so much about studies?
So what I feel is knowledge doesn't have a face. So why get married to one face?
Wow.
You know? So knowledge is so beautiful that it doesn't have a face. So knowledge is, first of all, what is knowledge? So is it knowledge that you've learned in your 10+2, you have learned in your graduation, that's it? In that case, you have done what it was mandated to for you to walk into society. You have not done it beyond that. So I would want to know from people that when they fly an aircraft, do they know that it's a Boeing and an Airbus, for example, and what is the difference? Why some planes have 4 engines and why some have them 2? If 2 is okay, then why have 4? Right? Why somebody would have 4 engines? Right? So these are some of the basic things that are just around you. But have you ever thought about understanding those things? Has somebody even thought about it, that why when you have coffee beans and when you put into a boiling water, how it becomes a coffee, Okay, take a step further. You have been living in your body, right, as a soul for the last 30+ years, right? Have you ever thought how does it works? The answer is no. Because you've got doctors around you. So, okay, fine, something goes wrong, I'll go to the doctor. Which is okay. I am not expecting to treat your body. I'm expecting you to know your body. So, knowing your body and treating your body is different, So, that's why I say knowledge, it doesn't have a face, And that's the best part of the knowledge. So, it comes from any corner, it comes from any place. If it interests you, you must have it. So, for me, I have been a knowledge seeker always. I have studied from finance to, so I started my, for example, you did my education in finance, I did my master's in finance. From there, I moved to quality, Six Sigma. From there, I moved to software engineering. From there, I moved to network system engineering with Microsoft. Did that. Then I came back to MBA. After that, I did my, so very recently I started doing, in 2000, early 2000, late 90s, late 2000, I did my study on human anatomy for about 6 months because of my business need, of course, medical transcription. But yes, I still did that. Then I, had buried that for a long period of time because I was busy on all these things. But lately, then I restarted that again and did my various courses on nutrition. So I just finished my nutrition from Stanford. So the inquisitivity is basically to know things around you, get your more knowledge. Yes, so I had a PhD, then I was awarded honorary also by Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad Research Center from Chennai. They had given me an honorary degree. And so I basically have been a very knowledge, I would say knowledge seeker. I would say that anything that's new interests me. Currently I'm pursuing physiology now, which is all about how your body reacts to when you move and when you exercise or when you're just sitting as a sedentary. So it talks about your pulmonary system, it talks about your cardiovascular system, it talks about your molecular biology. So it's very interesting actually.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to see, amalgamation of so many things all together here.
Yeah, it excites me. I mean, when you breathe in and you breathe out, what happens? The oxygen goes in and the carbon dioxide comes out. It's a very basic thing we learned in 7th, 8th, 9th class. But then, have you gone into it that how does an oxygen goes in and where exactly it goes in, how it carries into the blood and why it has to go into the blood and where does the blood takes it and what happens to the tissue and then how does the carbon dioxide comes back and what happens when you are running fast and what happens when you are seeing the TV, the body behaves completely differently.
Yes. So it's about everything. It's about psychology, it's about technology, it's about physiology, it's about nutrition, diet.
Now so for example, you have an iPhone, you go to your iPhone health app. When you go to your iPhone health app, you go down and you see a VO2 max. Okay. Now you would not understand what VO2 max is.
Not even explode that.
Yes. So VO2 max is the gold standard in I would say, you can say a pulmonary system, you could say a breathing system, you could say a cardiovascular system, because that talks about your oxygen and carbon dioxide volume in different phases that you are throughout your day. But that's pretty technical, but that's a gold standard.
The terms are really exciting.
Very exciting. But the iPhone has given it to you in your health app.
I never explored so far. But
So it maps you, and you can see your figures, and then you would understand that, yes, how is my VO2 max. So when you understand that, you will understand how your body is taking in and out of oxygen and carbon dioxide.
really,
Yes.
I guess we need to have a special segment with you on nutrition, diet, I mean it, to understand all these segments.
Well, I can only tell you what I know. I am okay to share with.
Definitely, and that's really going to be worthwhile, I'm sure of it.
Sure,
It was such
sure.
a pleasure.
Pleasure is all
with you.
mine.
And I would want to tell to all my audiences that yes, I'm a part of one of the ventures of Dr. Singh, that is Cut the Day. And
Thank you.
It's been really a fascinating experience being a part of it.
Thank you.
So we have got to know a lot about you, about the work, the culture and everything. But one message that you would want to give to all the audiences out here who are watching us right now.
So for that, I have to ask you a question.
Please.
I'm not too sure if you asked before or not, but I think, so if I have to ask the audience that, you would, any one of them would name, say, any number of fishes that you would have known. So like shark or a whale.
Dolphin, whale,
Starfish, or maybe we eat hamur, we know hamur is there. We've not seen it, but because we eat, we know it. We've not seen it in the sea. 4, 5, 10, 12, 13, 15, 20 maybe maximum, right? There are more than 20,000 species in the sea. We know about 20 of them, or we know 10 of them, right? Because those 10 which we know or we have seen are the ones who have taken the dare to come up, all the way up to the sea, to be out of the water, jump, see the sun and go back in. So that's what is required in your life. You need to dare to come up. You have to live with the fear of being caught. That's fine, right? That's the risk they take. But not everybody gets caught, So when you come up, you see the end of the water, you see the sun, you breathe, you go back in. That's fun. So that's what an individual has to do. So when, as an individual in a startup, don't be afraid to come up. Don't be afraid to be seen, because once you are seen, you are known. So we know 5 fishes because we have seen the 5 fishes. Rest everything is so textual. We have not even seen it,
Absolutely.
So that's my message, that travel vertical, and go as much high as you can, see the sun and feel the fun. That's it. Yes.
Such a great message. There are so many species out here, more than 20,000 species of fishes that we don't even know. We have just known the figures, but there are just 5 or 6 that we normally know. And we know them because they take up that pain. They know that they're going to be facing a lot of challenges, but despite of that, they take up that pain of coming up, facing all these struggles, all the challenges that comes their way, and they're not scared of it.
Yes.
And that's what makes them what they are today. That is known in the community, known in the world, across by everyone.
Absolutely.
That was such a great message, Dr. Singh. It was such a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time and experience.
Anytime. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul. Thank you.
So friends, I was in conversation with the startup guru, Dr. Tejinder Singh. Those who dare burn in the sun rise back as a phoenix. So don't worry, the sun will shine, come back as a phoenix. Until then, stay tuned, stay fit, stay healthy. This is Anshu Jain, your host for the day, signing off for now. But before that, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. That is follow Cut the Day on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. At the same time, subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is Cut the Day. And for JD news and updates, keep visiting our website, that is cuttheday.com. And I'll be back again with another interesting segment very soon. Thank you. Take care.